Hi guys, welcome back to A Little About LV. If you're new here, I am Lindsay, and today we are going to do one of my favorite things, which is to review makeup products. Specifically today, we are doing Laura Lee's new brush collection. So if you're not familiar with Laura Lee Los Angeles, Laura Lee is actually one of the reasons that I got started so heavy into makeup years and years ago. I actually found her on Instagram and then started watching her YouTube videos, and she taught me so much. So if you don't follow her on Instagram and her YouTube channel, I'll link all that down below for you. But for today, she actually started her own makeup brand inspired by, her passion. And I actually love the products. I actually gave one of her palettes away for my Christmas giveaway last year, so stay tuned for another one of those. And I'm actually going to be using a lot of products from her actual line, not just the brush collection today. We've got a highlighter palette, her Nudie Patootie eyeshadow palette. So I'm going to be using a lot of her products today to test out her brushes. So this is what I'll be reviewing today. I actually bought the $45 brush collection, which came with this really cute like pinky nude bag, and all of the brushes are here. It was a 10-piece brush set. So that is a little about the product that I'm going to be testing today, and I'm going to let you know why I decided to test this product out and why it was so interesting to me. So that is what we're doing today, and we're going to jump right in. Alright, so let me tell you why I wanted to review this product. So one of the claims that Laura Lee had when she came out with this 10-piece brush set was that this is like a full brush collection here. So she claimed that you could buy this brush collection and do like every single step of like your regular makeup routine with this and would not need anything else, which I thought was super interesting because I have a lot of friends and followers who are constantly saying that they don't have the right tools to get the makeup looks that I do. And so I'm like, you have to buy this brush and that brush and this brush. So I was like, what if I could tell them to buy this one brush set and be totally done? So that being said, I thought it would be a good idea to challenge myself to do a full makeup look with only the brushes that I received in this brush bundle, just to see like, would I be missing a brush or be like, oh, I wish I had that. So I'm going to get into that with each individual brush and let you know if I thought at the end if this was a full brush collection that I would recommend for you to get to complete your makeup. And also I just honestly wanted to see if they were good brushes for me to recommend anyways to a lot of my friends and followers who I knew were looking for good brushes. And so briefly, while we are on the subject of Laura Lee's claims for this collection, I will say that I'm never going to be super biased about a product. Like, I'm going to let you know if I like it or not. And one thing that I will say that she claimed was that this bag would fit her Nudie Patootie most popular eyeshadow palette that she has here. And it does appear that it would, almost. And she actually did like a video of her putting it into the bag, but I will say it does not actually fit flush in here. Now, is this a large bag? 100%. Like, this is a large bag and I fit a lot of stuff in here when I went on vacation. However, this does not fit in here to where you could actually like zip this up. Okay, so I did fit it in here, but I had to kind of like wire work it around in here. The brushes fit underneath it, but it fits in their catty corner to where like you have all this space underneath it that like the brushes fit, but like no other makeup would fit. And it does have a lot of room though, I will say that. So that is my first review of the bag and the claims that she made. So let's go through brush by brush and I'll tell you which ones I like, maybe which ones that I didn't. I have already used all of them. This is not a first impressions, so you can see like they have makeup on them. I get really upset with first impressions sometimes because there's a lot of things that like grow on me, or maybe I just figured out better ways to use them. I haven't been using these for a long time, but I gave them their fair chance. So we are gonna go through all of them and do a full face of makeup and see what I think. Alright, so we are going to start out here going in with the face brushes. Not really going to dwell on any of the products that I'm actually using today unless they're actually hers. We're also not going to dwell on this little bump that I got here from wearing these masks. Anyways, I have these 5 facial brushes that I'm going to go through one by one, and then she had 5 eye brushes for different eye looks, different eye concepts. So we are going to go first through these. And the first one that I wanted to go in with was the L11 is what this one is. This is a flat top kabuki brush. This is what you would apply foundation with, okay? So as you can see, it's got foundation on it. So that is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be wearing a liquid foundation. Works a lot like my Eco Tools brush that I have used for years. I love the flat top, and it just kind of guides the makeup into your skin really, really well. Alright, so for applying foundation, I actually love this brush. This is definitely going to be an everyday brush for me. I love how packed it is, but it's still very soft. It doesn't like drag your skin too much. It doesn't feel very abrasive. So I think that she got like the perfect amount of bristles in this brush. This one I would highly recommend. Again, if you're not looking for a full brush set, if you're in need of a foundation brush, I would highly recommend this one. I do think that, I don't know right off how much these are, but I think they're like $8 a piece or something like that. So it's actually a really, really good price if you don't want to go for the full $45 with the bag, which is obviously a much better deal. But I do think that all of these are very affordably priced. Some of them are only like $5, the little eyeshadow brushes and stuff. So keeping that in mind as I am recommending or not recommending these to you, they are very reasonably priced as well. Alright, so I went ahead and applied my concealer off camera with a little beauty blender because obviously she's not selling sponges yet. Anyways, the next brush that I'm going to go in with is the L20 brush, and you can see this is like a very like tapered end, very fluffy brush. This is going to be for powders, especially like setting powders, and she does recommend this brush for under the eye because it is very, very soft, and that is what you want for that area. So this is actually a very good brush. I'm going to apply setting powder under my eyes with this. I will say though that I just normally, personal preference, actually apply my setting powders with like a little powder puff that I can kind of press it into the skin with. So for me, this is not always going to get used for this. Like I probably won't just do this under my eye and then press it all over the rest of my face with a sponge. Like that's just too many steps when I could just do it with one. So I'm not recommending this brush because I think that it works really well for what it does. Like I'm setting the concealer around, you know, my nose area and on the forehead. However, this is a pretty small brush to put powder all over your face. Like it would just take a lot more time than the regular brush that I normally use because it's a lot bigger and it's just as soft and fluffy. So the consistency of this is perfect for powder application. However, I just normally don't use one that is this small. If you're going to get the full tea here, like the whole set, then I think it will be a brush that you can use. However, if you're just looking to get a few brushes from this collection, you can probably skip this one. Alright, so the next brush I'm going to go in with is my bronzer and contour applicator. So this is the L14. As you can see, this one is also pretty fluffy, but it is tapered, which this is what I like. She uses this for blush sometimes as well. When I have a tapered brush like this, what I like to use this for is bronzer because it just perfectly gets right there under the cheekbones for me, and also I can like turn it and get just the tip of it right down the sides of my nose to do a quick nose contour. And I actually do really like this brush. I have been using this again, I mean probably 4 times I would say at the beach, and it worked beautifully. I'm using like a really pigmented bronzer today, so I'm like trying to go in pretty lightly. Would definitely recommend buying this brush for contouring, especially if you're trying to follow like my makeup tutorial. I love how this is not super densely packed, like the fact that you can just kind of brush it on really lightly. So I would definitely recommend the L14 for bronzing. So now we're going to get into blush, and the brush that I'm using for that is the L13. So the L13 brush is actually what she suggests is like a rounded contour brush is what it's actually called. So she would probably go in, you know, with the bronzer here for this. However, I like to use this for blush because I love the rounded tip of this and how it gets perfectly on the apples of my cheeks, and then I can blend it backwards. So that is what I like to use this for, and I actually do recommend this one as well. I think this is the perfect little blush brush, and I'm going to show you that I'm actually going in today for blush with Laura Lee's Nudie Patootie palette because she has this beautiful little pink color here that I use for blush a lot when I have this palette, especially when I'm traveling. It keeps me from having to take an extra blush with me, and it's actually such a pretty pink color. So if you do have this palette, you don't just have to use that for eyeshadow. I actually use this as a blush all the time, and as you can see, this brush is just blending it out perfectly. The next brush that I'm going to show you is actually my favorite from the collection. This is the L15 highlighting brush. This is the best highlighting brush that I have literally ever used. It is so fluffy. The way that it is shaped is absolutely perfect for application of highlighter. I'm actually going to go in with her highlighter to show you today. This is from her glazed palette. It has 4 different shades here if you want to look at some of her other stuff. This is one of my favorite highlighting palettes, and this just creates the perfect application. I like to hold the brush kind of back here because you don't want to pack, you know, any kind of product that's super glittery or shiny on any part of your face. So you want to go really light with this, and I usually just like hold it way back here and just barely place this on my skin, and I could not be happier with the way that this applies that highlighter. So light on the skin, you can see it there. It's so light, and I have actually stopped using all of my other, this is one of the brushes that I took out of the kit and have actually been using this because I wanted to use this every single day. I like it a lot better than the normal highlighter brushes that I use. So this one, if you're going to get one brush from this collection and not the entire kit, I would say definitely get the highlighter brush because it is going to be the best one, especially for a beginner who's not really sure how to apply highlighter or how much to use. This is going to be the best for you because it's going to keep you from getting too crazy with it. It's going to give you just the right amount. So highly recommend the highlighter brush, the L15. All right, so as you can see, the face is coming together nicely here. I only had one brush from the 5 face brushes that I thought was just kind of not necessary or could have been improved on. So definitely probably worth buying the whole set at this point. However, we are going to now get in with all of the eyeshadow brushes. So she actually has 5 here, and we're going to go through each one as I do this eye look. The one that I'm going to start with is the L18. The L18 is the eyeshadow blender brush. This is what I'm going to use for our transition shade. As you can see there, it looks pretty much, it might be a little bit smaller and a little bit more dense than normal brushes that I use for blending that transition shade in. However, we're still going to go in with this today because I wanted to show you how this worked, and it did work for me. I would say that I think it should be a little bigger. Like, I just prefer it to be just a tad larger and a little bit more fluffy for blending the eyeshadow. That's just my personal preference. So this one was not a 10 out of 10 for me. However, it does work, and I'm just going to put on a little transition shade here from her Nudie Patootie palette. Does it work? Yes. For me, I just normally go in with a little bit larger brushes to start the transition shade out. And a little bit fluffier, so not a 10 out of 10, but if you're getting the whole set, you will definitely be able to use it. Alright, so now we have that transition shade built up there. Again, it did blend it out very well. As you can tell, we have no sharp lines here. So, I mean, it is looking really good, but not a 10 out of 10 for me. So let's move on to the next brush. I'm not necessarily going in order of the numbers with these. I'm going in the order of how I use them. Okay, so the next brush that I'm going to go in with is the L19, the oval shader brush. So this is a lot more densely packed, as you can see, and it is thicker on one side than the other. What I like to use this brush is to deepen up the sides of the eyes, to deepen up that shadow here. And so that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in with a little darker brown shade here and just deepen up the sides of the eyes. This is exactly the kind of brush that I would choose every single day to shade the sides of the outer corners of the eyes. So I will say that this is a very good brush for that. It blends out very well. Again, it gets right into the crease because of how it is thinner on one side than the other. I like how densely packed it is. So this would definitely be a brush that I would recommend if you are not getting the entire kit. Definitely get this brush as well, just to start being able to deepen the corners and the creases of your eyes, because this is going to get perfectly in there and not overdo that deep color. I'm also going to use this same L19 brush is to put just a little bit of that shade right underneath the lower eyelashes, just to kind of take in the eye look on the side and connect that. And this is absolutely perfect for that. So I do highly recommend this brush as a staple for beginners and people that are more comfortable with makeup application. Okay, so we are looking fantastic. Let me jump in with the next brush, which is the L16. So the L16 is actually a detailed shader brush. As you can see, I have used it there. It has more of a tapered end to it, and it is pretty densely packed. This is for any kind of precision work that you're going to be doing. So what I have been using this for is to put like the darkest shade that I would like to put on the eyes right here in the corner to further deepen that, or to further deepen the crease. When you want to be very controlled about the color that you're using, you want to use something that's small like this and very densely packed. Again, this is the exact type of brush that I would grab every single day to apply this shadow and to get this eye look. So this would be another one of the brushes that I definitely recommend as a staple. Alright, so the next to last brush that I'm going to be using today is the L17, and this is the lid shader brush. That is what she calls it, and that is pretty much what I use it for. It has a very flat tip there. As you can see, it's very densely packed. It's very thin on one side and then flat on the other. So what I have been using this for is to pack on like our lighter colored and glittery eyeshadow right here. It definitely allows me to pack those colors on more. What I want to do today though is something else that she suggests this brush is really nice for, which is carving out a cut crease here, which basically is just going to lighten this area again because we've gotten this darkness over here, so that we can put on a either cream or shimmery shadow on the lid. So I just kind of wanted to see how that would work. So I'm going to use just a concealer to carve out a little cut crease for you and tell you what I think about the brush and how it performs. Okay, so that actually worked beautifully to cut that crease. This is definitely going to be a highly recommend for me, the L17, because again, I have used it just to pack on regular shadow and it worked really well. And then it is very, precise. Like, you have to have a very precise brush to get the perfect cut crease and make sure you have a very straight line, and this was just absolutely perfect. It really didn't take that much effort. This is one of the easier brushes that I have ever used to do that with. So for me, this is a definitely have to get the L17 for sure. Okay, so what I'm actually gonna do now is go in again with the same L17 brush to show you how I put on shadow with this. This is Laura Lee's Sleigh Bell palette. This was from her holiday collection last year. I'm gonna use this really pretty gold color here and just pack this on to show you how well this brush works for that as well. And lastly, I'm going to use the L17 brush again to actually go in with a highlight and highlight around my eyes. We're going to go in with this little white shade here in the Nudie Patootie palette because I just wanted to show you all the ways that you can use this brush and get a lot of different looks and all the different aspects of makeup that you do. I've used this for 3 techniques now. So that's a pretty good deal because I'm pretty sure this brush, and don't quote me because I actually don't have it up right now, but I'm pretty sure this brush is only like $5. So you can't really beat that, and it is super, super good quality. This would be a highly recommend for me. And so for the last brush in the collection, this is the L20. This is a very, very tiny eyeliner brush. So this is for if you do gel eyeliner or any kind of like liquid eyeliner that's in like a little, you know, usually it'll be in like a little tub or something like that. And then this would be how you would get your little eyeliner wing to go right over the top. However, I don't usually wear eyeliner like that. Obviously, my eyeliner comes in like a tube. However, I'm going to show you if you do decide to get the full makeup plus a makeup bag, all the brushes together. I am going to show you how you could use this so that it's not just like a brush that you're just going to keep in your brush drawer and like never ever look at. So I'm going to go in with her darkest brown shade here in her Nudie Patootie palette, and I'm just going to take a little tiny cup of water. I'm going to create sort of like a liquid and then show you how I do a little tiny liquid eyeliner with this L20 brush. Alright, so even though this is not my jam, I will say that I might actually start doing some liner this way with like a lot of different colors, because I just turned this regular brown eyeshadow that she has here with a little bit of water into a really cute winged liner, and this actually allowed me to get a very, very sharp point, which for me is very, very important. So I'm gonna go in and do this eye, but so far I'm really impressed with this brush. Okay, truly, I did not expect to be so impressed by this little bitty liner brush. I mean, one, I just thought I would never use it, but now that I was able to create this really, really cute winged eyeliner, like, so many possibilities have opened up. And this L20 really got that super pointed winged eyeliner, and that's the only kind of eyeliner that we do. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. All right, so now that all the brushes have been used, I'm gonna go off camera and finish the lashes, mascara, and lips, and I'll be right back for my final review. All right, guys, I am back, and the makeup is finished. I popped on some lashes and a fun lipstick since I already did a neutral look and I literally never get to wear lipstick now. I wanted to do a fun one, and the one that I went with was Laura Lee Los Angeles in Coral Pop. So let's get into my final review of these brushes. First of all, the bag itself is like really large and spacious. Again, not exactly accurate to say that the Nudie Patootie fits in here. I mean, will it zip? Yes, but it takes up so much room because it doesn't lay flat that it's kind of like, probably shouldn't have advertised for that. However, the brushes themselves, I will say there's probably only 2 brushes that I would not necessarily recommend. And just to recap, that was the L12 and the L18, and really my only complaints about both of these brushes, one was for face and the concealer, and then the other one was for eyeshadow shading, was that they could have been larger and fluffier. That was just me personal opinion here. But if you are buying the brushes individually and you want to know if there's any that you could leave out of your order, I would definitely say it would be the L12 and the L18. Those are not for sure necessary. You could probably get something better somewhere else. However, brushes that if you are buying individually, you need to purchase, that would for sure be, and the other brushes that I've left out here, like, is just to say that I would definitely recommend those, but I mean, if you're just looking for a few brushes, you don't have to have them. However, I highly recommend the L14 for shading of your face and the bronzer contour. It's just the perfect consistency, the perfect angle. Definitely recommend the bronzer brush. The number one that I recommend, again, is the L15 highlighting brush. I mean, there's just no brush that I have found that highlights better than this one. It is just the perfect shape and angle, so definitely the highlighter brush. Two others that I wanted to mention were the eyeshadow brushes that we just went over. This one is the L19 for packing on darker colors on the edges and for also right under the lid. You can do both with this one brush. And then, as we just saw with the L17, the very thin packed shader brush, or the packing eyeshadow brush. This just has so many uses. You can get so many uses out of this one brush. Again, if you're not buying the whole thing, you could, spring for buying a couple of these, and then you wouldn't have to clean it half as often. Like, you could use one for your cut crease and one for actually packing on the shadow, or one for doing, the highlighting on the inner corners of your eyes. So this is like a must. You definitely need the L17 if you're starting in makeup, or if you're even a pro and you want to just have a great staple brush to use. Love this one. So as a whole, the brush set and makeup bag bundle, I highly recommend. So there's only 2 brushes again in there that I don't necessarily think you need. They were not bad brushes by any means. So for $45 to get this very large makeup bag and all 10 brushes in here, especially if you need just all new makeup brushes, or if you're starting to get into makeup and you just want to know if this is a good kit for you, I think it's phenomenal. You could fit a lot of makeup in this bag, and all the brushes definitely fit in there. That being said, it's Lindsay approved. I love it, highly recommend it. I'm going to link down below Laura Lee's website if you'd like to shop any of her products, including this. It is actually out of stock right now, but she does have a wait list going, so make sure you pop on that if you do want to get this. There are a few brushes individually left, I think, if you want to go ahead and grab a few. Again, I think they're reasonably priced, but I will link all of that down below for you. If you have any further questions for me about any of the products that I might have used but not mentioned, or anything about the brushes, just leave it down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you loved it, and if you love me, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks again so much for watching A Little About LV.